Fallen Angel, Ayato Kirishima, Ex-Reader, Book 1, Chapter 4, by that person called Furthermore. Without further ado, let's get into this. Chapter 4. For the rest of the week, he would visit her to make sure she ate. Ryan wasn't sure why he did it. Every time he came, he looked uncomfortable, almost at war with himself. He wouldn't glance at her. He never said a word, save for the insults and orders. She was used to them ever since she was 7. She had come to Ontaku every morning with her parents for a cup of tea, and every time she was greeted with that same irritated scowl on his face. The whole week, either the manager or Toka would visit occasionally to see how she was. That night she woke up as usual, covered in sweat and her cheeks wet with tears. She sniffed and wiped her cheek. Another nightmare, she whispered, her voice cracking as she blinked to clear her foggy vision that was clouded by tears. Crying was like a normalcy now, and sometimes she wondered if she'd ever run out of tears. Her bed was warm while the sheets tossed on the floor. She glanced out the window and saw the full moon was at its peak. The rich beams of moonlight shone through the glass, lighting her room in a glowing light blue light. She swung her legs over the bed and rested it on the floor, ignoring the coldness of the floor. She stumbled out, her head aching thanks to the moonlight. She could see the floor. As she walked down the hallway, voices filled her ears. They were coming from the staff room. She ignored it and tried to walk down the hallway to the bathroom, but something made her stop dead in her tracks. They were talking about her. "She's been here long enough," a loud voice yelled. There was the sound of banging. Ryan stood by the door. She felt guilty for eavesdropping, but they were talking about her, so this wasn't necessarily eavesdropping, was it? She shook her head as she tried to focus on leaning lightly on the door and listening. "Calm down. I understand how you must feel with a human living with us. But what do you suggest we do? She's already seen our faces. We can't give her to authorities," the deep voice of Yoshimura replied. "Well then, she must have family members somewhere," the same voice as before exclaimed. This voice belonged to Toka. Ryan wanted to feel betrayed, but how could she? Toka was just protecting herself and her smaller brother. With a human in the shop, this must be hard and unnatural for all of them. A lump formed at Ryan's throat. She hated the feeling of being a burden to her friend. "She doesn't. I've checked," a new voice chimes in. "We're all she's got left," the manager said so softly. Ryan had to strain her ears to hear. "We're ghouls. I don't mind her living here, but she's a human. She's not supposed to know about us, and she can't live with us. That's too dangerous. It's just not natural." Toka's voice pierced her heart and dawned to her a new realization she was too in mourning to understand. "What do you want us to do, kid? Kill her?" The voice scoffed. Ryan's heart was beating fast, and her eyes were welling up with tears. She heard footsteps walking towards the door, and she quickly hid behind the door as it opened. Sorry about that. That was my brother, saying he's going for a walk or something. It shut abruptly, and Ayato stared down at her with the normal irked and irritated expression on his face. "What are you doing here?" he snapped irritably in a low, demanding voice. Nothing," she stuttered out and sprinted back to her room. She slammed the door shut and jumped under her sheets. She spent the rest of the night contemplating what was going to happen next. She knew her stay wasn't permanent. She knew they were just waiting for her to recover so they could call someone to come and get her, but who? She had no one. How could her life reach such an unpleasant time? She hated knowing the fact that she was intruding in their lives right now. She wouldn't mind if she did die. At least she could see her parents, hug them, kiss their cheeks, and melt under their firm embrace. "Ayato-kun," she asked softly the next afternoon as he was taking the empty dishes out. He stopped by his tracks halfway out. He tilted his head to the side in acknowledgement, his back facing her. She glanced down at her fiddling fingers nervously as she asked in a low voice, "Why'd you save me?" He almost dropped the dishes in his arm, not expecting that question. He quickly turned to her. "Well, what?" he stuttered, looking mildly perplexed. She pulled her legs against her chest, resting her chin on her knees as she glanced out the window. "You hate humans, and I'm pretty sure I'm nothing but walking livestock in the eyes of ghouls. It's not that I'm unhappy that you saved me, it's just that He cocked his head to the side as he stared down at her. Do you really want to know why I saved you? The question had been bugging him for days. He debated against it being sympathy. If it were any girl apart from YN, he would have walked away without even breaking a sweat. Maybe it was the way she looked at him when he saved her. It made him feel like he wasn't a monster. She turned to him and met his gaze, nodding. "'Cause as annoying as you are, you're the only human worth saving," he said seriously, his piercing cold blue eyes staring at her intensely. YN's eyes twinkled with shock and a hint of happiness for what seemed to be the first time in ages, as she stared up at him in awe, her lips slowly curling into a soft smile that looked delicate and cute on her pale face. Ayato-kun, I have to go," he blurted out before rushing out. YN watched as he slammed the door behind him as quick as lightning. She blinked, confused. Ayato panted as he leaned on the door he had just slammed shut. He shut his eyes and wondering why his heart was beating so fast and why he felt so embarrassed. He hated how he didn't know why seeing her in any pain affected him, and why a simple cute smile with those big eye-colored eyes sparkling could make him feel weird and mushy all over, like his insides were turning into butter in a nice way. He groaned and pulled at his hair. "Damn you annoying brat," he growled through gritted teeth. "Damn you for making me feel this way." And that's the end of that chapter. Oh my god, that chapter is just I do apologize for any background noise and for my brother saying, "I hope that's okay, I'm going for a walk," or whatever the fuck he said. That was like so embarrassing, but I got on with the story, so that's fine. But these chapters are really good. So to whoever made these, if they ever watch this, I hope you know that I really enjoy your story, and if these people that watch this do not follow you on Wattpad, I will legit low-key full on abandon my channel. Or just stop making videos either.